This is your daily dose of all things royal.
This is about connecting with friends and just learning. Let's go.
Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. It is Monday, March 3rd. I hope everybody is ready for the barrage and saturation and pollution in the media of Meghan Markle this week. Kicking off Monday with this People exclusive and spread, Meghan's most intimate interview. We're going to go through this article today. And the reason why I'm doing this is I know that those that are listening to this most likely are so sick to death of this woman. And I agree, I'm with you. It's really to do this to make sure that the narrative that Meghan's trying to spin here now to rebrand herself as this super mom and human being who has made mistakes along the way and now how she's grown into this entrepreneur is debunked. And this is something that we absolutely need to do because we do not want all the things that this horrible human being has done to just get swept under the rug. So let's get into this article and let's keep to the forefront the real Meghan Markle. Written by Erin Hill, it starts off by saying, Meghan Markle is curled up in bed with her sleeping 5-year-old son, Prince Archie, on a recent winter evening in Montecito, California. With her phone in hand, she catches up on emails, finalizing details for the launch of her renamed lifestyle brand, As Ever, and her new Netflix series, With Love, Meghan. What's painfully obvious here is we know who the invisible golden child is, and that's Prince Archie. I highly doubt that this actually happened, but of course she's going to make it sound like she is the best mom ever. The next paragraph goes into saying, her husband, Prince Harry, 40, is still in Vancouver wrapping up the Invictus Games. Okay, well, if he's still in Vancouver, then who's watching little Betty? So Archie is in bed with Meghan, sleeping. Where is little Betty? Meghan had joined him for several days, during which she stayed in close touch with her mother, Doria, checking in on Archie and little Betty, who had gotten sick and making sure they were seen by the doctor and sipping bone broth. Now, does anybody believe that this actually happened? I certainly don't. Nobody even knows where Doria has been since last April in 2024. So it's highly doubtful that Doria was stuck watching these two invisible children while Meghan went to support her husband on the Meghan tour. If Meghan was such a great mother, then why would she have left in the first place if little Betty was so sick and had to go to the doctor? You know what I mean? Meghan is working overtime to prove that these children really do exist and she is the best caring mom that ever has existed on the planet. But nobody is buying it. Now, this next part is like so ridiculous. Now, she's savoring the stillness at home with Archie as he stirs awake, sleepily telling her, Mama, don't work too hard. Recalling the moment to People a few days later, the Duchess's suing and sex says, it was the sweetest thing. All right, so my read is on this, knowing that Meghan makes up all kinds of stories that, one, this most likely never happened. And if we do take it at face value with Meghan and what she's saying, the event occurred, but it didn't go down the way that she's telling it. I'm going to tell you this based off of what I've recently seen with Prince Archie trying to water that garden. And he's saying, only if you want me to, almost as if this child is walking on eggshells. You can bet that he is desperate to get attention from this narcissistic sociopath. Remember, Archie is supposed to be 5 years old. And for a little boy, if indeed he did say, Mama, don't work too hard, shows that Meghan is neglecting these children. Like, when you think about this, a 5-year-old doesn't understand what a parent does unless the parent is not paying attention to them. So if Meghan is constantly on her phone or constantly writing emails or constantly never there, and the excuse that's being given to this child is that, oh, mama has to go to work, then of course the child is going to come out and say, don't work too hard, because they want some of that time and attention. And this is something that Meghan's not giving. And we see it. We see Meghan never with her children, ever. So for her to make us believe that she's such a caring and doting mom, It's not working. It really is not working. But moving on in this article, like any entrepreneur, Meghan has tackled the hard work of launching a new business. But unlike most, she has done so under an intense spotlight. In March 2024, her initial brand name, American Riviera Orchard, debuted online. 1 month later, jars of jam with the brand's logo began circulating among pals like Chrissy Teigen and Mindy Kaling. Then came a pause. As anticipation grew, questions arose about when the products would be available, while behind the scenes she navigated trademark issues. In quotes, "There are tons of twists and turns, even with the name," she says in her most intimate interview in years. "I was figuring it out in real time." And although she has faced intense public scrutiny at every step, Meghan says the experience has been defined by growth. "I appreciate everyone who gave me the grace to make mistakes and figure it out, and also to be forgiving with myself through that. It's a learning curve," she says. People magazine is such a joke, and this spin doctor that's writing this story is talking about how this is her most intimate interview in years. Come on. Meghan hasn't shut up since 2016, And then to go on about how Meghan had launched this business. This was not a business. Meghan launched an Instagram account with 9 beige squares and then launched a website that only had a homepage. That's hardly called a business. So if this woman is going to go on thinking that she is some entrepreneur who had all her ducks lined in a row, no, hardly the case. Hardly the case, because what we saw there was amateur hour. But anyhow, the propaganda continues. As Meghan builds her brand, she also continues to expand her life in Montecito. 5 years have passed since she and Harry made the seismic decision to step back from their royal roles in the UK and chart their own path, but their titles remain. Now, why would they include that? That's because it's the most important thing to Meghan at this moment. She is clinging on to those titles for dear life. Meghan says the Sussex name bestowed upon her and Harry by Queen Elizabeth on their 2018 wedding day holds a deeper significance than she could have imagined before motherhood. "It's our shared name as a family, and I guess I hadn't recognized how meaningful that would be to me until we had children," she says. "I love that it's something that Archie, little Betty, H, and I have together. It means a lot to me." The Sussex name, she adds, is a part of our love story. It's so obvious what Meghan is doing here. She's banking on the Americans that are reading this article who are ignorant to knowing that the real family name is Mountbatten Windsor. And that's the name that Meghan should be so proud of and means so much to her. But no, she wants to make sure that nobody takes away the Sussex name that was given to her from the family who she accused as being racist. This woman doesn't care about the family name. She cares more about the brand and holding on to her connection to the royal family. And this woman is clinging for dear life right now. Now, obviously, this People exclusive is all part of the promotion for her new show that's coming out tomorrow. As it says, now with her new series debuting March 4th on Netflix, she is sharing her personal passions, including cooking, hostessing, and decorating, with her biggest audience yet. I guess Meghan is doing PR for herself, because I can't imagine a PR team being that stupid to mention that Meghan's passions put her right back into the kitchen where she's scrubbing greasy pots and pans. You know what I mean? And this spin doctor is not fooling anyone. Nobody believes that this is going to be her biggest audience yet. I don't even think I could stomach watching this, and I think I just might sit this one out and wait to see what everybody else is saying, because quite frankly, I don't want to waste my time now with this woman. It's just pure garbage that's coming out of her mouth, and nobody wants to see it. We're all tired. But anyhow, this next paragraph is even more ridiculous. And she says, when your children get to a certain age, when you're not just playing in a sandbox with them, but almost playing in your own sandbox again, it's super joyful, she says. As a woman, as a mom and a wife to be able to find yourself again in a way that was always present, but that you maybe couldn't put as much attention on as you now can when your kids are a little bit older is a wonderful feeling. Can somebody please tell me what world this psychotic woman is living in? She really wants us to believe that she has made these children a priority, and now that they've reached a certain age, Archie is 5 and little Betty is 3, that now she can play in her own sandbox? Get out of here, Meghan. I don't think Meghan understands that the more she tries to convince and persuade the public that she's such an awesome and devoted mom, has the opposite effect because it just exposes her for being this neglectful, ignoring mother. And for those that don't believe that she has 2 children in her possession, it also exposes her for not really knowing what a parent's supposed to be doing with children at that age. Now, what is said next is very interesting. Although the couple's 2022 Netflix docuseries, The Record-Breaking Harry and Meghan, famously pulled back the curtain on their struggles within the royal family, this time there's no mention of anything royal. Harry himself makes only a fleeting appearance in the final episode, but his presence was felt behind the scenes. Whenever Harry visited the set, he was always super polite and friendly, a crew member tells People. But it was clear he wanted this to be Meghan's moment to shine. Like, as if she doesn't shine and overshadow everything the couple do. I think this is a red flag right here. Harry wanted no part of this shit show. And I guarantee that the one episode that he's in the final episode, probably was done early on. I don't think he and Meghan are on good terms, in my opinion. But they got to create the optics that Meghan is branching out on their own, but everything is fine in this marriage. So according to People magazine, Meghan is returning to her roots. Meghan's 8-episode lifestyle show sees her cooking, crafting, and gardening with friends and chefs while sharing personal stories and recipes, a natural extension of her pre-royal life. In 2014, while filming Suits in Toronto, she launched The Tig, a blog on food, travel, and wellness, years ahead of the influencer boom. But as her relationship with Harry deepened, she shut it down in 2017 and later deleted her Instagram before joining royal life. How hard was it to let go? Meghan says, "Well, I love The Tig, but I certainly love my husband more," she says. "So that was a choice I made at the time, and I wouldn't change that for a second." Harry is now loving watching Meghan step back into her creative groove. "My husband met me when I had The Tig, and I see this spark in his eye when he sees me doing the thing I was doing when he first met me," she says. So once again, Meghan Markle trying to rewrite history, making it sound like she was some kind of pioneer ahead of the influencer boom when, no bitch, you were trying to jump on that bandwagon. We see you. But in any case, not only was The Tig used to entrap Harry by making it look like she was some Diana 2.0, it was also to paint the narrative that she was some independent feminist, super sassy, successful, and almost as if the it girl. But we all know that this woman is a fraud, and of course they're going to try and make it sound like before Harry met Meghan, she was doing what she loved. No, Meghan was plotting and scheming, alongside whoever her handlers and backers were, to pull off the con of the century. And I'm not going to let this go because it's very clear in what Meghan is doing now in distancing herself from the nasty and hateful things that she did on purpose to not only cause discourse in the public, but also to hurt people. And when we say that, hurt people that didn't go along with the ideology and agenda that these globalists are pushing. This woman, as well as the people that she's associated with, are just pure evil. But let's get back to the article. Even though the activities on her new show feel familiar to Meghan's longtime followers, the filming pushed her beyond the comfort zone she knew from her 7 seasons on Suits. "I was never really in front of the camera like this," she says, reflecting on the legal drama, which became one of Netflix's most streamed shows in 2023. She adds, It's a time capsule for me. I still have the pencil skirt from the first episode. That's the one thing I kept. She remains close to co-stars like Abigail Spencer and is excited to see the upcoming Suits LA on Peacock. I love that it gets a new breath of fresh air. Her new show isn't a traditional stand and stir format, an industry term Meghan learned during filming to describe most cooking shows. It feels as though we're just spending time together, which is what it ended up being, she says of the crew's presence on the series. I'd make a recipe and say, everyone try this, and there are certain dishes where you just watch everyone flock in. I'd say, we've run out of spoons. It ended up feeling so communal, and that's the spirit of the show. So it's yet to be seen if Meghan's doing any of the cooking on this show, but from what I gather, it does appear that Meghan's allowing these celebrity chefs to do it while she takes the credit, which is so on brand for Meghan. But more about the show adds director Michael Steed, who previously worked on the Emmy-winning series Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown. Everyone has this one version of her, but she's just someone who is hustling and working and doing. I genuinely wanted to create an environment where she could relax, and I know the pressures of what she deals with on a daily basis. I was happy that we created scenes where she could tap into that part of her life. Along with featuring her domestic skills, With Love, Meghan also highlights her own product line, which will be available on asever.com. Meghan has hinted that her signature jam will be among the offerings set to launch this spring. Also launching this spring, her new podcast with Lemonada Media. She's back on Instagram too for the first time in years. When I was last on social media, boomerang was the thing. Huh? She says, laughing, Instagram stories didn't exist, so it's been a minute. Okay. Despite the intense focus of her return to Instagram, where her 2 million followers that she bought, and I just added that in, analyze everything from her outfits to the plates she uses, Meghan doesn't identify as an influencer. I see myself as an entrepreneur and a female founder, she says, and if the brand ends up influential, then that's great. What a loser. And although the show paints a picture of domestic bliss with Meghan slow cooking berries from her garden, she doesn't consider herself a trad wife, shorthand for traditional wife either. I like being able to do a hybrid, she says. Chinese food delivery is a favorite, but even when I get takeout, I will try to plate it beautifully, says Meghan. She encourages others to strive for balance, not perfection, despite her show's beautiful imagery. The series is about doing what you can do, she says, and doing it with love. That outlook was first noticed by a friend who visited the set and came up with the name of the show. Their takeaway was they were so happy to see me as myself, Meghan says. She said, it's like your love letter to all the things you've loved to do, and if you're signing off a love letter, it's with love, Meghan. Meghan Markle is so fake, and I don't care if people are calling me a hater. I'll own it. I can't stand this woman, and that's because you don't get up on a global stage, not only attack and abuse the family that gave you the platform that you have now, but then also come back and pretend as if nothing happened, like none of your actions caused any kind of pain and hurt to other people. I really would like to know, what kind of love did Meghan show when Prince Philip was dying in hospital, thought it was a good idea to go on Oprah and lie her face off to attack the family? I would really like to know, what kind of love did Meghan show when she weaponized the media, again, to cause division online and attack the royal family? And, tell me, what kind of love did Meghan show when a few days before the Queen passed away, prohibited Harry from seeing his grandmother one last time? And finally, what kind of love did Meghan show to demand that she be by the Queen's deathbed with Harry and caused some of the family members to miss out in the last moments of the Queen's life? I'm sorry, but I don't know what kind of love that is. And that's a love that I want to stay away from because I don't see that as love. I see that as being very malicious, selfish, and just, quite frankly, being an asshole. Obviously, the people that had been advising Meghan and Harry to do the things that they have done didn't read the room to understand that the majority of people in the United States still hold family values as a core essence of being a good human being. And these folks, like Meghan and Harry, are completely morally corrupt. And that's why they should have no place in society. And I'm not going to even talk about what Meghan did to her alleged family because they were a part of it. They have been a part of it from the very beginning. All the drama that we have seen between Meghan and her alleged family have been a part of those disinformation campaigns that I explained in a couple months back. Whoever did central casting for this shit show needs to be fired. But I digress. Receiving that kind of feedback from her friends who have quietly supported her through the challenges of recent years has been meaningful for Meghan. You have to imagine my friends' experience through the past few years, she says. They spent all this time with me at home and at their houses or out at dinners. For them to see who they know to be reflected on screen, it brought them a lot of joy. And I hope people are seeing how artificial this story is now being crafted or narrative that they're trying to build for Meghan. So she wants us to believe that she has this tight, close group of friends as her support, but no mention of any immediate family. What about Ashley? You know, the one that you had on your shit flicks to talk about how, you know, you couldn't invite her because of the whole drama with your alleged sister? Or what about your mom? I thought she was your best friend. Where is she in all of this? Isn't she going to have a spot here in this With Love, Meghan? Now, the next part that People magazine writes is truly breathtaking. They want to give us a peek into Meghan's private world in Montecito. And they say, the Montecito community, who have gotten to know her from school drop-offs and playdates with Archie and little Betty, have become essential. In quotes. We hosted a little camp because winter break was long, she says with a laugh. We had several days with different families at our home, and we were able to get to know the parents better, and all the kids could play. Meghan and Harry set up obstacle courses and face painting. It's a dream, she says. But I also know that being part of a community means you put effort into it. This so-called made-up fantasy that Meghan is telling here is in response to the German documentary where locals had said they don't see Meghan and Harry and they wish that they were more involved with the community.
Die Einwohner von Montecito wundern sich inzwischen. Nur selten sieht man Harry und Meghan in der Nachbarschaft. Einladungen zu lokalen Veranstaltungen werden in der Regel nicht beantwortet.
Ich denke nicht, dass Meghan eine Bereicherung für unsere Gemeinde ist, weil sie sich hier nicht engagiert.
Harry vielleicht. Er ist nahbarer und ganz lustig, der Junge von nebenan. Aber man sieht sie so gut wie nie. Sie geht nur manchmal mit dem Hund über den Markt und mit ihrem Bodyguard. Sie sollten sich mehr blicken lassen, denn Montecito ist so ein schöner Ort.
So this is Meghan saying, we are involved. Look at what we did, which we all know is a lie. And I do believe that this story that Meghan is telling is from this children's event that Archwell Fugazi Public Charity had put together where Archie and little Betty are nowhere in sight. And Meghan continues to double down with this clapback as the article continues on to say, in the process, Meghan says, Montecito has become protective of the Sussexes. Once you know us, I think you want us to have the same normalcy as parents and for our children as they do, despite however unique our situation is. Oh, right, Meghan, because you're a duchess and you're so special. Okay, give me a second. I need to unstick my eyes as they have rolled so far back into my forehead right now with that last bit. For Meghan, normal looks like nights out with Harry and pals. Okay, so whose pals are they? Your pals, Meghan? Because we know Harry doesn't have any. Or are we talking about taking your staff out again? We go to a lot of dinners, and not just in people's homes or private rooms. We just go into the restaurant, she says. I really love that we can just have fun. Okay, so here Meghan is trying to make herself sound like she's so down to earth and connected with the people, but she still has to remind you that she is part of the elite class. This is so damn pretentious. Whatever you say, Meghan. Her friendships with other moms, because remember, Meghan is a mom, have grown beyond school ties into deeper connections. Well, who from school is Meghan still talking to? I have a couple of girlfriends up here. These are stay-at-home moms and working women with normal jobs, not in the public eye, she explains. We went from just connecting through our kids to having girls' night out or doing Pilates together. One confidant recalls how they first connected when Archie and her daughter became fast friends at school. Meghan reached out with a voicemail inviting her to a play date. Now, the one thing that we know is consistent with Meghan is her ability to fabricate stories, but knowing that in these stories, there's always one small element of truth wrapped into the ball of lies. And in this case, I believe that small element of truth is talking about her friend Kelly, who has a daughter that is not necessarily close in age to Archie, but close enough for Meghan to tell this story. The other thing I'd like to point out is how is Archie going to school if, one, Meghan can't get a hold of the birth certificate because the birth certificate has been locked away in the UK. In addition, how has he entered into the school, especially since he has to have all these inoculations? So again, this might be another lie. I don't believe that Archie is enrolled in any kind of school. I believe perhaps maybe this child is being homeschooled because Meghan doesn't want this child getting out there and possibly, let's say, his DNA get plucked off his head, and then all of a sudden we find out a different story. You know what I mean? So Meghan's close confidant goes on to say, "You can see that as a unit," the friend says of the Sussexes. They're all very connected. After her son's recent surgery, the friend recalls, Meghan sent a bouquet of balloons and a stuffed octopus from Archie and little Betty with a handwritten note that said, "We thought you could use a hug with 8 arms. Oh, isn't that sweet?" But didn't do a thing for her own father. And when Meghan was invited to her low-key birthday party at home, she showed up despite not knowing anyone else and chatted with the other women about mom stuff in life, says the pal. It was just fun and natural. She was very comfortable just chilling. Because Meghan is so relatable, right? Meghan embraces life in her community, whether solo or with friends. Come on. Meghan says, "I go to yoga classes that sometimes have 40 to 50 people in them and just walk in like, 'Hi,' she says, laughing. Of course, at the beginning, that felt like a lot. By the way, I think anybody walking into a yoga class with 50 people and everyone looks up, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. But now, I love it. It's the best. I had missed it." So this is how I interpret this paragraph. Meghan's going to these yoga classes with Heather Dorak. And when Meghan walks in, people look up and they roll their eyes and they don't talk to her. They don't give her any attention because they're in Montecito and probably have 10 times more money than she does. But you know that Meghan is the type of person who will be the one who goes to the very front of the room in front of the mirror to make sure that everybody sees her. That's the kind of attention whore that we're dealing with here. The family's sprawling estate is their sanctuary, which is why Meghan chose to film her show in a nearby rental that echoes their own space. Oh, kind of like what they did with the Netflix mockumentary. "I wanted to protect that safe haven," she explains. "We're a close-knit family, and I love those moments. Putting Lily down for a nap, having lunch together, having sacred time together at the end of the day. Our kitchen is where Mama just cooks for the family. And with a crew of 80 plus people, that's a lot of people to have in your house." Okay, I'm going to go ahead and side with Meghan on this one because I don't believe Meghan lives in that Olive Garden mansion. If the rumors are true and Meghan does live at Isidro Ranch, then it makes total sense as to why they had to book another space to film this stupid show. But then again, I also don't believe that it took 80 people to film this show where Meghan is in the kitchen. You know, it just seems a bit excessive. It's not like she's filming some action movie. You know, like I think this woman is ludicrous. Okay, Meghan, whatever. The show also gives Meghan a chance to put her kid-friendly meals to the test. I'm up before my kids are, so I'm normally up at 6:30, and then I get them up and dressed for the day, and we go downstairs, she says. I love making breakfast for my family. Come on.
You see where our rainbow is coming together here? And you don't have to do a big platter of this. You could do this with one small row for your kids for breakfast.
Did you guys know that Meghan is a mom? My husband and Archie both love fried eggs, she says. There's a lot of bacon around here. And then sometimes you don't have time for all that, and you just put a frozen waffle in the toaster and call it a day. And there's no shame in that either. Okay, Meghan, what happened to the waffle maker that the Queen had sent Archie? Anyhow, not surprisingly, Meghan identifies food as one of her love languages. Even before I was a mom, because did you guys know Meghan was a mom? I loved being able to nurture in that way. Okay. She says, I'm telling you, this is some serious clapback to everybody who points out the fact that she's so awkward with children. Some of my favorite childhood moments are the meals that my mom would make. Oh, what did you do when you were living with your father? Oh, is that story a lie too? I'm beginning to think, Meghan, that you're not who you say you are. Anyway, she would make a lot of soul food. I remember she'd taken a Thai cooking class, so every week we had Thai barbecue chicken and spring rolls. I remember those flavors so well, and I want my kids to have those same formative memories of things that I cook. We call them mama meals, and those are the ones that I hope they come back to when they're older, when they're married, and they have their own kids, and they go, oh, let's have a mama meal. And it's the same roast chicken I've been making since they were little. Oh, Meghan. I'm not going to comment on that, but you know that this woman is trolling everyone, and she put that in there on purpose.
It's a real delight in being able to be a present parent.
Okay, folks, just hang with me just a little while longer. We're in the home stretch of this god-awful article. Finally, talking about Meghan building a legacy, it says, while she may not have filmed inside their home, she found ways to incorporate home life into the show, filming in their chicken coop, garden, and orchard. Archie did the filming. Sweet moments, she says. They would also come with my husband and visit me on set, and I love that my children were able to watch me working and see the balance of that and understand what Mama does and is working to create and share. It was really special because up until then, they hadn't seen me at work. The crew member recalls how Archie and little Betty would run up to Meghan on set. She was super attentive and doting on them. We would give them headphones so they could listen to audio. Now you guys see what's going on here? Meghan is desperately trying to get the public to see her as this mother figure and how loving she is after being slammed for using other people's children. And she's still doing it. Here in this article, she wants everybody to believe that she's so close to these children that nobody has seen. And I guarantee that this story, too, is a lie. But anyway, Meghan adds, I hope that when they get old enough, they feel really proud that they were part of the beginning of this with me. Well, hopefully this is also the end. The landing page of As Ever features a photo of Meghan and little Betty hand in hand in their backyard, surrounded by trees. Having her daughter on the site was especially meaningful for Meghan. Being able to have my own little girl, as I've spent so much of my life championing the rights of girls and women, and to be able to see this as a multi-generational story. Archie is, of course, included in that. My husband is, of course, included in that. But I love the heritage feeling of it and knowing this is something I can create in front of my daughter and teach her what it is like to be a working mom. Because, guys, did you know Meghan is a mom?
Present parent. And it's a luxury sometimes because we all have to work.
This is something that hopefully can be part of her legacy, too. If this little girl really does exist, she's doomed. I mean, totally doomed. If little Betty will follow in the footsteps of Meghan, not a good thing. Not in my opinion. Especially because Meghan is a gold-digging whore. But anyway, life in Montecito has settled into a comfortable rhythm for Meghan and Harry. And wait for it, folks, they're just like us. When she's not filming, afternoons are marked by what they lovingly call day dates, where they share a quiet lunch together. In true parent fashion, because Meghan is a mom, the evenings include nightcap recaps, unwinding with a drink as they chat about their day and bake lunch boxes. Aww. Don't you see, guys? Meghan wants you to think that they're so relatable. As she says, I think all parents in this phase with kids the same age know it's rinse and repeat, she says. If there's time, they'll catch up on TV together. We love Shrinking. We just finished Black Doves, and we're excited for the new season of The White Lotus. I'm guessing Meghan plugged this for Netflix. Anyway, reflecting on the past 5 years since their move, Meghan acknowledges how much is different. 5 years ago, Archie was only 8 or 9 months old, so my life has changed so much, she says, recounting her motherhood journey because, Meghan is a mom, welcoming a newborn, being pregnant because, she wants to make sure that people believe that she was pregnant while raising a toddler and now raising both Archie and little Betty. Anyone who has children will tell you it's a huge evaluation as a woman during that time because Meghan is I can do everything and do it better than you. As she looks ahead to the next 5 or even 10 years, she's open to what's to come. Can you imagine? This is just the beginning. Life is full of surprises, she says. And my gosh, in 10 years, Archie will be driving.
We could do a little dollop of yogurt as our clouds.
And there you have it, folks. The end to this stupid article in fantasy fiction. I'd like to remind everyone that it was People magazine who was the one that kicked off all the drama between Meghan and her alleged father and those 5 friends speaking out. And Meghan said she had no idea that they were talking to people. Right, Meghan? Wink, wink. Anyway, they have been a part of all of this drama, and it leads me to believe that they are also helping to get Meghan out of this mess that she's in because she's been found out to be the biggest liar on the face of the planet, and everything that Meghan has been a part of literally has collapsed to shit. And we're talking about from a political perspective because Donald Trump is back in office. So here we are with this new narrative and trying to rebrand Meghan as this mom who's so relatable. But nah, nobody's going to buy it. And I'm sorry, but we have another failure and flop on hand. And, I'll tell you this, no matter what Meghan does, doesn't matter if she's now going to start using the kids to whether be used as a shield as well as to also make money, it's not going to work because people see through the fakeness. People see how she is a hypocrite. And, nobody can really relate to the things that Meghan's saying because she herself doesn't understand what it is to be authentic because we are truly dealing with a con artist. Meghan is a full-blown fraud. I'm telling you, it's such a waste of time and money to promote this woman because it's not working. And these really stupid, ignorant people like Meghan in Hollywood fail to read the room every single time, thinking that just because they put this out in People magazine that people are going to believe it. Nobody trusts these outlets anymore because they've lied time and time again. So Meghan coming out and spinning this bullshit now, I find it very hard to believe that other people are going to see or change what they think about this lying, grifting con artist. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Do you share the same sentiment that I have? Do you believe any of this? Do you think Meghan is this loving mom all of a sudden? I would love to know what you think. Definitely leave your thoughts below. And as always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I was such a fraud.